We always ask, tell people if that was asking if I can talk.
Our hangout is not live. There are exactly 0 viewers.
Oh, we're live streaming this?
Yeah, some people said they might want to. I mean, it's just gonna be a conversation, but we'll, if someone else wants to.
Is it? Good. Good. They always see tall guys with really attractive women. Right?
Careful, you're on the internet now.
Hello.
Don't give away any of your
see...
secrets yet.
Are you coming on Saturday? Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, so I thought maybe I'd talk a little bit about kind of things I think about in terms of video editing.
Okay.
Like 15 minutes. So Brian, can you put that up on?
Yes.
This will move this over. It's gonna take a little bit. No, I should move this. What's what? We should definitely take some time to hang out too. Just catch up with Michael.
No fun.
No fun?
Call you Arlie, right? Alright, Michael.
Yeah, people call me.
Yeah.
The man from Batman, right? Or the Ben?
Oh yeah,
Quite possible. Alright, well, hopefully no one cares if people watch this. No one watches right now. I'm actually get my iPad. What are you doing? You're just gonna talk to these people. Oh no, but why did you say watching? I'm watching. Oh, interesting. Pretty suggestive or something, so they don't go on there. I don't know if anyone's gonna watch it. But even if they don't watch it, then maybe watch the video afterwards. So how long have you been doing video editing? You got? Oh, it's like the recent. So really recent. You're using Premiere? Huh? You're using Adobe Premiere or iMovie or what are you using? It's like standard. It's like really crappy. That's impressive. Given the technology. Well, Michael just put out a pretty cool video that he made. It's like a compilation of a lot of stuff from various sources, which is pretty awesome. And I know you've been more interested in this, and Brian's edited some videos too. So I thought what I do is I talk about basically the entire process and just mention some conceptual things in case people like just hadn't thought of some cool concepts that you might think about that. So I thought the 4 steps for me are like background. When you think about it before you start video editing, like the software you should use. Either should you have pre-editing. I mean, there's a lot of pre-editing work that should go into kind of the edit before you even start editing. Filtering, which means this is kind of the pre-editing process too. It means like looking at all the things you have, filtering it down those 2 steps. Yeah. And then finally the editing process. So is that okay for everyone? Yeah. Go do that. I might actually. I might go over here so people can hear this. More important than here than you see. Okay, so the background. Do you use Final Cut Pro? No, I use Premiere. iMovie is better than Windows Movie Maker. Oh yeah. Worse than Premiere, the Final Cut Pro is definitely better. So I talked to probably a dozen or so video editors, and every single one of them said you have to use Final Cut Pro. And I actually tried using Premiere initially because it's, I mean, I don't have a Mac. We didn't have a Mac before this computer. And so you can use Final Cut Pro on a Windows machine, and it was a complete failure. So everything from kind of changing the aspect ratio to kind of integrating different video types into the software to kind of adding bells and whistles like conditions is so much harder in Premiere, and Premiere just doesn't have the functionality. If you want to make like really professional, high impact videos, I highly, highly recommend using Concept Pro. And that's recommended by everyone I've talked to. So that means you have to have a Mac. And there are ways for you to access the Mac if you don't have a Mac. But I highly suggest trying that concern to use it. But the other one is very intuitive. The interface is really easy to learn, especially if you have someone guiding you. But even if you don't have someone guiding you, Google is filled with Concept Pro. Yeah. So like all the other programs, it's much harder to get feedback and guidance on. Final Cut Pro, because everyone uses it. You just use Google, and you're going to find the answer to your question. So that's kind of the first thing. Second thing is, video editing is pretty processor intensive, because as you're editing, the program has to constantly render all the footage and create the timeline for you to view and see what you produce. And that means like having a pretty good computer is important, having a pretty good hard drive as well. So for example, the Truth Matters video that we'll probably go through together in a bit. Brian, you have it up, right? Yeah, you blow it up on Bitching. I'll go through. You blow it up now? Yeah, well, not yet. I guess it's not viral yet, but soon. We'll probably go through one other video. Just briefly. I'll talk through some of the things that I thought about editing the video. But that video alone, I think it was around 900 gigabytes. Wow, which means it's larger than the average Mac's hard drive. So we have way larger. Well, yeah, I mean, if you have a solid state hard drive, it's small. But like most laptops will have anywhere from 500 gigabytes to 2 terabytes. So I use, just from that project, the project itself, so including all the background. And that's a lot larger project than most of the stuff we make. Most of the stuff we make is like 5 minutes. And that's a 2-minute project. But still, I mean, even a smaller project can easily be 3 gigabytes. So like thinking about having an external hard drive or where you can store all this stuff is actually kind of cool. Third thing is, before you even start, I just make sure you understand how the software works in terms of project parameters. So Final Cut Pro, one of the fun things of Final Cut Pro is like the moment you import in video footage, whatever the frame rate and aspect ratio is of the initial video that you import in, gets locked in as the format for the entire video. It's like, I made a mistake once. And I imported a video that had its default frame rate was like 60 or 90 frames per second, which means like, I don't know if you've seen any of this like video footage that seems almost surreal, it's like really jittery. Have you ever seen anything at 60 frames per second? Yeah. So the footage that we got from Georgia, meaning essentially the Republic of Georgia, was for some reason at 60 frames per second. And I like imported it in, and that just made the other rest of the video look like it was in like Charlie Chaplin mode, where everything was like frame by frame, because it's the video is trying to play at this frame rate that there aren't enough frames in the video footage that we have. Is what I imported in. Just like, I mean, I worked on it for like 10 hours without realizing that they weren't like that. It wasn't that hard to fix. It's just one of those things that you should check out. When you start the project, make sure the project software are with you. And then finally, just as a general background, I think if you're going to start video editing, I mean, there's 2 things you should do. One is you should just practice. And you should definitely check in with people you can go really good. Like, Stop is actually one of the people who's video editing in the other room, who trained me a little bit. And then I talked to a bunch of video editors who work at Kia, work at HSUS. I found video footage that I thought was really good. Tried to find them there, talk to them. So there's this really amazing video editor who's at Kia now, at HSUS, and paid me what's kind of like almost good 6 or 7 hours just doing that video. A lot of things I don't know. He really thinks our stuff is incredible. Great. So you probably help us. Okay, so that's background. So pre-editing. So before you even, you have a video you want to do. And I think lots of times people just like edit without thinking about it. And I think the same is true of writers. They like write without thinking about what they're writing. And that tends to be not very efficient. If you want to think about what you're trying to accomplish with your writing, or with your video before you start. So I think there are 5 big things you should do before you even start editing, what I call pre-editing. One is you should think about your audience. Right? So Truth Matters has a much broader audience, and we use those things in mainstream media than general videos that we produce. Yeah, so the messaging is more for general public. It has more background than anything else. It has more details about ag, things that people at DX already know. Well, most of our monthly action videos, you don't need background. You need to talk about what is animal rights. It's not necessary because your audience for DX videos is like people are already activists, and frankly, most of the people in the DX they're trying to find them. So you have your audience, and you ask yourself, what's your objective, right? Some videos, the objective is, to educate someone about something, learn about the sentience, or learn about the experiences of Mexican Americans and what people follow in the movement. Some videos, you don't have a specific thing you're trying to educate, you're just trying to comment. You fire it up. So the conclusion is like, hey, I'm going to go do a demo. Other videos, you might be trying to problem class something, create questions so they want to explore stuff. So you should think carefully, what's my objective before you even start? And every frame, every cut, every musical choice should be consistent with what the audience is and what you're trying to achieve in the audience. Like, if it's inconsistent with the audience or what you're trying to achieve in the audience, you cut it out. Project parameters. So you'll often be given project parameters. So like for monthly action videos, if either of you were to check on a project like this, our monthly action videos pretty much have to be less than 5 minutes. Because for the purpose of what we're trying to do, those action videos are not big long documentaries.
Yeah.
They come out once a month. So we generally, you can look at videos and how often you watch, and the shorter they are, the more likely they are to watch. Right. So honestly, like even less than 2 minutes is best. Usually we shoot for less than 3. At worst, we do less than 5. If it's more than 5, it's a little bit of a problem. Now, having said that, one thing that Hayden told me and every video has told me is that you have amazing content. You literally, you've done everything you can, you've cut everything, but with every single second of the video, it's just amazing and awesome. Then leave it in, and it's okay for it to be longer. So it's a rule that should be broken. And I think one of our probably 2 most popular creative action videos, Gone But Not Forgotten, was 5 minutes and 8 seconds. So I like go through it. It's one of the longest ones, but it had a little bit of a story in it, like the story of the cow, and just the structure of it was such that it had to be a little longer. And that brings me to the next point. Before you get started, you should also think about what material. You have music, you have special graphics, designs that you want to include, photographs. Generally, the core of every video should be music, right? But periodically, you'll have other things you want to include, and just make sure you have it all compiled before you even start video. Let me do one thing. I am going to say people have. Yeah. So, and then the final thing is project. One other thing in project parameter that I didn't mention beyond time and content is theme. So generally, and this is true whether you've been assigned a project by someone, you're a professional video editor, and someone says gives you a project, or you're doing something for DXC. Generally, there'll be some theme. Usually for us, the monthly day of action is truth matters, the content goes to machine, or something like that. And so you want to make it consistent with that theme. Because if you go off and do something completely different, people are going to be wondering what's going on. This is truth matters. So we should play out with that theme. And the final thing is we talk about audience, objective, project parameters, and material you have. And the final thing is the story. Right? Once you have all this, you know your audience, you know your objective, project parameters, and material, you should immediately start thinking the story. What is the story I'm trying to tell? And either of you heard of the concept of storyboard? Okay, so this is what professional video editors, like you see something like a documentary or movie, what they'll do, and frankly, litigators do this. Litigators and lawyers will argue in court. They'll have a story for the trial, and they'll like visualize how they want the trial to go, how they want the pieces to come together as a plot. As a crescendo, the theme is two-sided. You should think about that. Like there should be fun on. You should think, all right, 3 minutes, what am I going to do with that 3 minutes? What do I want the story? The introduction and the end. The next part is it's the advertising, the whole piece. And after that, it's activists confronting that advertising. After that, it's more images and analysis. You conclude with media advertising. You should think that through before you even start. It doesn't mean you should stick to that story, because many times, in fact, you definitely should not. You should be flexible, but having that structure in place will help you in your focusing process. It'll make it a lot easier when you're going through the footage to know, like, what am I looking for? Am I looking for this footage? Okay, so that's pre-editing. And then there's the editing process. And the editing process itself, the first thing to do is obviously look at the footage. And most of the projects you guys have worked on have been fairly contained. If you were ever to take on like a bigger project, the universe of possible video footage is literally infinite. Because you can go on YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, and download any video clip and use it for your personal videos, as long as it complies with the full fair use regulations. And for all intents and purposes, you can use any equipment. And we're not commercial, we're not making profit off of this, it's very unlikely we'll get it. It happens, it happens. But the key thing is, if it's a short clip, you almost always want it. What you don't want to do is take like 15 minutes, put this on a video, and quickly do it. That's not fun. But it's like, under 30 seconds, you're probably okay. So, but what do you do in the filtering process? Everyone has a different approach in the soft. You use some of the different approaches than I use. But for me, the first step is after I've thought through the editing process, my audience, my objective, my material, the storyline, I just look through all the footage really quickly, right? And identify things that I'm seeing in the footage. And I'll just fast forward through it. Max, just like drag, drag literally. No matter how long the video is, you can literally take 5 seconds and just drag through the entire video and see everything that happens visually very quickly. Right? And that's great because if something ridiculous or amazing happens, you'll see it. Right? Like if someone punches Hugo, and Hugo's like thrashing around the ground. Probably wouldn't want to include that, but there's something provocative or interesting. And so you look through the video footage initially, and it's like flag stuff that's really, really important. You absolutely need to include it. So you see it, and just maybe it's an amazing shot. And just like visually, it's so beautiful. It's deep improvements. You should look at these things. So some of the key components you might see in the filtering process, dramatic scenes, especially conflict. If you look at our YouTube analytics, the scenes that are the most dramatic and gripping, that keep the audience the most, are scenes that involve conflict, right? Hearing someone talk is good. Even if they're the best speaker in the world, it can be interesting, but it's never as interesting as conflict. Right? If you think about psychologically what people like talking the most about, what they gossip the most about, it's always conflict. Like if I go tomorrow to like a DXC meetup and I say, Michael and Hugo had a nice dinner yesterday. It was great. Everyone's just gonna be like, I don't care. But if I say, today I was amazing. Shitting each other. I heard Michael talking shit about Hugo to mine. He was in the same room. Hugo might have heard it. And I think Hugo was super upset and he might even post it on Facebook. And that's just dramatic and juicy and everyone wants to know what it's about. And obviously, I'm not saying we should be gossiping and dramatic and a video, but conflict was right. So another key component. What's up?
You want it to be whole food selective? Whole foods,
we should focus on whole foods. So another thing is there's certain important voices that you might know. So, like one example of this is John Seven-Matsu, who's a piece of affairs in one of our demonstrations. And we made actually one person you should include in this month's video is Tim Patra. I'll talk to you about it later. But, he's a famous critical theorist. He's well known. He has a lot of credibility. And he's not the sort of person you'd expect at a protest. He's an academic. But he came to our Boston protest and did a great little speak out. And so, that's the sort of thing, you know what happens, you know what happens. Diversity and representation. Beyond famous or important voices in the network, you just want to make sure it's diverse. And it's one of the founding principles of DXC is direct action to everyone. Once you all communities, all backgrounds, all races, you should be reflecting that in your videos. And representation too. So not just diversity in terms of racial diversity, but representation from different cities. So even if we have, like in Varia, we actually have a pretty diverse team. So we could probably have every video just be Pekeka and be fairly diverse, but it wouldn't be representative of our network because they're not national. So we shoot to have every single voice in every city represented at least once in every video. So sometimes we fail, but we almost always get that. Collapsing is the most respected. You should always remember this is an anti-species organization. One of the organizing principles is storytelling from the animal's perspective. We actually should tell the activist story. It's an important component for activism, but including the animal story is important too. And so to the extent you can, show something from the perspective of the animal. Speak out that talks about how animals feel. Show some really gripping, powerful video footage or music that reflects the emotional texture of animal experience. I think it's really important. Then finally, and this is kind of underappreciated, but notate what the important clips are. Because oftentimes you'll filter through it and be like, oh, that was a great clip, that was a great clip, that was a great clip. And then 15 minutes later, you realize, oh shit, I have no idea where that video was. And I have 15 videos in the Portland file, and they're only DSC1, DSC2, DSC3, and I have no fucking idea which DSC it was that I looked at that was this great scene. So there are a lot of ways to do this. You can write down on pad of paper, you can notate it somewhere electronically. My personal method is to drag the video, either copy and paste it, or just drag it in a folder with like key video clips. Yeah. And then just describe it. I rename the video from say like, oh, listen. And I'll usually put the minute and second marker too. Like 3 minutes, 26 seconds. In the queue, you can get in the ship. Yeah. Which is happening. Not getting the ship. You should. Okay. Any questions on any of that? Any thoughts? Is that all of you?
No, I actually started like a lot.
Hey Brian, can you put
Yeah.
We'll go through the next step. So now the editing process itself. One of the things Hayden told me, which I think has turned out to be true, is music might actually be the most important decision in the video. Brian, is that okay?
Yeah. Sorry.
So in the music, you should, in particular music, but there definitely have been moments like God Not Forgotten. That was a song that I knew I wanted to use for that video clip for months before it actually happened. The same thing with Ellie Goulding's Lights, which we use in Truth Matters. I already had something visualized in my head for a long time, and so sometimes the music is so important that like it turns everything else. No. We consider it fair use, and because we're like a grassroots nonprofit, it doesn't make any money off the name and shit. No one's used.
Yeah, I used one of the songs, and I got a copyright warning from Facebook.
Yeah, but I posted it. Yeah, you can post it. What you should do is you should challenge it. And we have, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but we actually have a draft copyright notice. No. We have a draft copyright appeal text that we suggest you use. Okay. If your video gets flagged. Okay. Because you can just like appeal it, copy and paste that text, sign, and usually you'll get it signed. Okay. So that's all. Music is so important because it can completely change people's emotional interpretation instead of actual events. The example I always give is the American Meat, this Chipotle documentary about how meat is. There's a couple scenes of slaughter, but because of the background, and music, and like, it just makes it seem like, animals just love this. Because it's like, oh my God. It's like happy music, and just, so even scenes of incredible violence, people interpret it very differently. But the first step in every video is definitely like, find a track you believe in. Sometimes you have to edit it, and like, I would encourage you to edit it. And like, the editing process itself is a little bit funky, and I can show you, like, every musical track I've used, I've like modified in some ways. And so you cut them, you paste them, and Final Cut Pro has a lot of features that allows you to do this. And I won't go into very specific details, but you should know that, like, so find music you believe in. Hello!
Hey. Hi. Welcome here.
Hi.
Sorry.
I know, I'm really excited.
Sorry, everyone on the internet. We just had some people coming on.
Hey, Lisa. Great to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, so awesome. Really excited. I'm Yeah.
Did you see Lisa speak out today?
No. You
Check it out on the. Yeah, it's great.
No, the video. I can't even watch it. I'm like.
It's great. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Check it out. It's on the JXC main page.
Where'd you? Oh yeah, I saw it already.
Yeah,
I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, you commented.
Yeah, I did. I said amazing speak out.
He's like, no, I didn't do
No,
this.
you commented that one.
You got caught. You got.
Yeah, it was like a while.
It seemed like a long time ago.
Yes, it's juice.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'm a juice fiend too. I can tell you're a juice fiend.
You're
Yeah,
juice fiend? No. There's only like 20 juice bottles in this.
Okay,
What do
so
you
you're
guys
gonna.
up to? Are you doing some video editing? Or-
Well, we're talking it through. So we talked through some of like the pre-editing process that I go through. So Lisa's done a lot of video editing too, so she might have some feedback. Is it okay if we talk about this?
No, it's not okay.
It's not okay.
It's not okay. There's other things.
So I'll just briefly mention a few things. We talked about background, like first testing before you edit, then we talked about the creating process.
About the process. Nice.
Yeah. And so I'll just go through these things quickly, and if you have any other thoughts or different opinions, I mean, everybody has different opinions on these things.
Yeah.
But in terms of background, I strongly suggest that people use Final Cut Pro, pretty much only. So it's supposed to recommend it to me by many people, and after having jumped to it between a few different programs, I think I'm pretty confident that's the right choice. Have a good computer that has plenty of hard drive space.
Because what, I mean, what's Final Cut cost you?
$20. But there are ways you can if you're, no, maybe I should focus on that. No one's gonna watch this video now. Other than the FBI, which I should worry about.
Oh, I didn't even realize I sat in front of it.
That's okay. Okay. So and then I also said like so I said that you know, before I started video editing, I also just talked to a bunch of video editors who I liked and learned from them and watched them in the editing process and just watch a ton of videos. Like, actually, I don't like many animal rights videos, to be honest. They're usually not that well done. So the videos that tended to be most useful for me, movie trailers. Because they're like a minute to 2 minutes. They're really, really professional. And they know how to like grip people. You know, like they're really engaging and make people interested and engaged. So like edit up. My video editing style was very influenced by watching content from trailers, shitty movies.
Shitty movies, really?
Shitty movies and good
there are
movies.
good trailers and there are shitty trailers. Like,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and
you should showcase some of the best.
yeah, like there's an Iron Man trailer that I thought was really, really good. I don't remember which one it was, but yeah. So, anyways, and then I talked about the pre-editing process and 5 things in pre-editing. One is like thinking about who your audience is, thinking about your objective, what you're trying to achieve with your audience, thinking about your project parameters, what you can, length of time, what sort of music, the theme restrictions you have, what material do you have, music and video footage, obviously, photographs, and what sort of story you want to tell with the video. And then we went through filtering, and the filtering process is actually probably like the most laborious, just in terms of time. And the thing I usually do, I don't know how you approach this, like finding out what videos you actually want to use from your file. You have a huge library of stuff. And
like cutting it.
yeah, no problem. So before some people,
that is the most time consuming,
It's very
especially when it's like a DT video with stuff from everywhere. It's probably like
yeah, it's really
hours and hours.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have one city, it can be kind of tough. If you have 60, it's a huge problem. So I was just suggesting one thing that I do is Max, both preview and QuickTime, had a really nice feature where you can just drag through a video and just quickly, literally in 5 seconds, you can see the entire video. You can't see it in its whole glory, but you can at least see what the video footage is. And so I'll usually go through all the video footage and at least drag through it. And I also ask people in other cities, like, if there's something that's really interesting that happened and needs to be included, please email me. Let me know so I can find it. And then I kind of, when I'm dragging through this, identify key components of the video, things like dramatic scenes, important voices, like famous people like John Monty, Patra, diversity and representation, and something that includes the analyst perspective. That's really important in the all videos. And then I notate something. And there's a lot of ways to do this. You can either have a paper, you can write it down somewhere on a Word document, spreadsheet. The way I do it is I just copy paste the video, or just drag the video into a new folder with key text and probably do this.
But does that, you cut, because a lot of times you have this really long thing, it's like 5 minutes, and you really only want like 50 seconds. You have a good way of ordering that.
I just notate the minute and second. Okay, I change the name of the file. So I'll usually name the file. It's usually like DSC03 or something like that. I'll change the name of the file to like 3 minutes, 26 seconds, and I'll describe it.
Because I'll put them into a project, just the little clips, with the intention of just like, I'm just collecting them.
Yeah, that can work too. It depends on the size of the video project, and like, so truth matters, even an 18-minute video clip, it was an 800 gigabyte file already. And so like I really had to, and also if you don't have a really, really great computer, it just slows the rendering process down if you have too much shit going on with Final Cut Pro. So like, I try to minimize this stuff and actually put it in Final Cut Pro, so the video editing process itself. Like if we all had Mac Pros, it'd be great. But even the iMac we have, which is like a $600 iMac this year, it's going to slow down once you have a big project, and it's going to waste a lot of time. it's constantly driving, you can't see everything. Okay, so that's kind of where we are. Do you have any thoughts on that, Lisa?
That sounds reasonable. I mean, I don't probably think things through quite as much because I usually am doing more quick turnaround.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never, like an 18-minute would be a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of work. Especially when you,
Is that good for you?
Yeah. Okay, so we were just starting to talk about music and how important music is. And I think when you choose music, usually the theme and the objective should come first before the musical choice is made. I was just saying there are a couple of exceptions. And one of the exceptions was Gone But Not Forgotten, for that song. Like, the moment I heard it, I just knew I'm going to make a video out of it, and I knew it had like a certain structure to it. It'd be perfect for a video. Like, it's kind of slow in the beginning. The video turned out exactly as I envisioned it when I thought about it. Then I was also saying another example, which was the Ellie Golden Lights song. I pretty complained about this. I was raving about the song for like literally years, saying like, I want to make a video of this, and this is how it's going to be. And it actually did turn out pretty much exactly how I wanted it to be. We're building up slowly, and just crescendo, and then exploding.
Okay, I have a fun fact. On DXP's page, there's a photo like from when I was in school, where there's a comment saying like someone saying, I'm gonna make a song for our like a rest. I'm gonna make a video from this song and use this song for our like rescue video. It happened. I was so shocked when I saw that.
Yeah, that was really cool. It was one of our first meetings. So I think that's the exception. Like occasionally you hear a song that you're so inspired by, and you can just like see how the video footage can fit into it while you're listening to the song. Yeah. But usually, I think you have a theme, you have an objective you're trying to achieve, and you want to find some music that fits that theme, right? But I think that's usually better.
I usually like put together a draft, and I'll start just playing on this song in music while it's playing.
See what it fits.
And see, like, I'm trying to be like, is it go together and not go together? But it's really time consuming. A lot of stuff is like, there's so much stuff that's like, no, not really.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you're like, I got nothing.
Yeah.
And that sucks. Because you're like,
yeah, and another place to look in terms of music is movie soundtracks.
I usually
movie soundtracks are great because
they don't have lyrics and they like have that dramatic arc.
They're short. Right?
Yeah.
They're like intended to be, to be matched to some video.
Yeah.
And
They're written to dramatize.
Exactly. So I found movie soundtracks are pretty good. Yeah, I mean, one thing I suggest
when you watch movies too, don't you also listen? Like I always listen to soundtracks when I'm watching movies.
Yeah, no, I do. So, and I think one thing that's kind of important when you're using music is we've had some editors that use some comic music. And again, you want to think about Ryan. Yeah. So Ryan has done this a few times himself, I think. Like all of us have certain music that we just really love for some reason that everyone else won't hates, right? You just have to remember your audience is not one. Our audience isn't necessarily the world. Oftentimes it's just activists, so it's not the entire world, and maybe we want to make it more activisty than typical music. Yeah. But don't pick some arcane ska band that you heard 3 times that like has this crappy B quality soundtrack that you have on tape. You just think it's like really, really inspiring. So you want to pick something. I think like as embarrassing as it is, like a lot of like movie soundtrack top 40 stuff probably address that, but it's like sort of so saturn that everyone will be okay with it, and it's not going to, it'll achieve the objective you want to achieve without the process of something like, I hate this music soundtrack, turn it off. You don't want that to happen. So there are 2 ways to do this. One is like pick stuff that's fairly mainstream, the music, but it's not too idiosyncratic. And the other approach, and this is true especially if you pick something that's a little idiosyncratic, is have like 20 or 30 people listen to it and give you their reactions. And if they all say this is great, so like Gone But Not Forgotten, that song is by a fairly arcane band, unknown band called Author of the River.
I know that band.
great band, right?
I bought the song after the video.
Yeah, so but no one else knows this other than the two.
But I never heard it.
Indie people. But it's not like a huge band, and their music's a little weird. It's not like, even that song's a little weird. Yeah. So, but I think it worked despite the fact that it's an indie band, not because it was an indie band. And I think indie music is usually not the best for this sort of product. I guess it depends a lot on what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But if it's like a 2 to 3 minute, like inspiring rally people to demonstrate, so there's stuff like indie music.
I don't know. I kind of feel like it doesn't matter whether it's indie or mainstream. What it matters is the tone of the song and the art of the song, and like whether or not it's distracting. Well, like an indie band can sound like you wouldn't necessarily know, like whether it's indie or mainstream is a cultural. I don't know. I don't even know if you can tell if you don't research it. You know.
Yeah, I think the key thing is that like it resonates with a large number of people. Yeah. So if something is in like a movie soundtrack, the odds are somebody's done the research and check to make sure it resonates with a large number of people. While if you're picking something that's more indie, you just want to confirm. Yeah. Like, do not trust your own intuition, because all of us have very different intuitions as to what is like great. So I know you and I have different processes on this, but the process I tend to use, and then I think this is a process that like Dave uses, just going straight person I learned from a lot, is to lay down the audio track first, and I'll cut it up a lot. And every audio track I use is definitely required some cutting and rejiggering, just because the parts that are just like light and it all. Sometimes I shorten it, but like, you can use that. For me, it's been very helpful to have the music as like a template.
No, I mean, and I actually do that after the music is decided.
Yes.
It's only in the music
decision
stages where I do the other stuff, because I don't do that yet.
Yeah, because the music will provide a structure.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter whatever storyline you have, if your storyline doesn't fit the music, then the storyline needs to change or the music needs to change. So, and the music provides like a natural story structure. And when you're laying the music down, you should think about how it can tell a story that you'd like to tell. Right? So in Gone But Not Forgotten, you know, it's like this very slow beginning song that's almost mournful, talking about ghosts. The lyrics are good. And I knew I wanted to tell a story about sad animals who are trapped on terrified. Almost in like a ghost-like horror state. And it slowly escalates and builds up and builds up. And there are a couple points where like the drums kick in. You can feel it's like there's something that's more physical and material happening. And that's when the protests come in. And then there's a part where it steeps down and it's kind of confusing again. And that's the part where we have all this dialogue and interviews of people talking about animals and being more confused about this shit. And some people saying really ridiculous things, but then ultimately some people recognizing that this is an issue, we need to change something. And then it escalates into the final part where it's just like the same chord over and over and over again. And it's very, very powerful and like, you know, energetic and strong, and that's just protesting. So like thinking about all that when you lay your music down is really useful. And then thinking about that in the context of all the video footage you've seen. You have to make sure you actually have the video footage that fits those gaps. Right? So it's actually, having seen the video footage often is helpful when you look at music, because you don't have the right video footage at the time. So yeah, and then after I have music, and I always put the music down before I do this. This is when I do what is called a storyboard. Do you do storyboards? So storyboards, like they're used in a lot of so they're used in a lot of like theater tropes, or like when this is what producers do basically when they're making movies or TV shows. They'll have like a storyboard. Usually it's a whiteboard, and they'll literally like have chronology. And they'll just like have all these parts, and they'll try and fit it into the storyboard. You know, like the television show might be 22 minutes. Our video clips are generally 5 minutes or less. And I think it's really useful to think just on a macro level about like what's going to be where, because as you're looking through the footage and actually engaging in the editing process, like it just saves you a lot of time, and it'll help you figure out where things should go if you know how the video is going to go. So. I'll usually like write it down on a pad of paper first, but then I usually make a little outline. So. And this is advice I got from somebody who's a producer for Walking Dead.
Really?
Yeah, a friend is a producer for Walking Dead. He said you should storyboard for videos because it'll help you a lot. Instead, it'll just make it more efficient, and the video will be more coherent. throughout the video, like you know what your theme is and you know how the story's going to develop. And then every element of the video is going to feel like it comes together.
Alright.
So I don't know.
Sorry,
Okay,
I'm
not
not
watching. Bye.
I'm at least on for walk.
Oh, okay.
Bye.
Yeah.
It's going to pull up an example of the storyboard.
Oh, okay, sorry, I just. Hands to the storyboard.
Okay, so.
You do that even for a short one?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to spend a lot of time on it. I mean, sometimes it'll spend like 10 minutes. But I think about, I have the music now. I think about like, even just like one word. What do I want the music already gives you structure. The music, their key changes, their rhythmic changes, their volume changes, pacing changes. And so like every time the music changes, you should think about, all right, what is going to change in the music? Change the music. Yeah. So you should, and there's a lot, and so like, in this video, I laid down the music, and then this, for Truth Matters, you know, and this is a lot bigger project, so there's a lot of music components, but I said like, okay, the beginning of the video is going to be about, well, the very beginning was just sort of a teaser showing the open roasting and giving people flavor of it, but after that, you know, I wanted to say, how do we all get involved in animals, and why do we care about animals? Like, what is the state of animals in the world? And, you know, I just broke down all the components. I always loved animals. And this is actually after we had already done the interview, so we already had video footage. That I have 2 dogs and 2 cats. I care about them immensely, but then it was incredibly disturbing to me when I realized that animals are being hurt everywhere. They're hurt in food, clothing, even the land we walk on is taken from animals. And so on and so on.
Is this your story?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is like just the outline for the video. This is the outline for Truth Matters. And I'm not even sure exactly how consistent it is.
I was thinking of a storyboard kind of like, you know, like in, I don't know, documentaries. They actually have, I like think of it as a director thing where they have.
Hey, give me a sec. Actually, I feel bad. Can I call you back in like 2 minutes?
Yeah, if I had a better technology, I would actually like to have something like that. But it's just
Well,
easier to
and
make
that
it
usually
work.
makes sense if you're going to shoot it, because then it's also the visual.
Yes. Yeah.
Usually we already have.
Yes. So, and yeah, I mean, when I first start, I actually do just I take out a piece of paper, I turn it, you know, so it's landscape format, and then I'll draw a line, and just like put arrows. Like, here's this, here's this, here's this, here's this. You don't have to do it this way. This is visually very easy to think about like this. And it can be very easy. Like you can say, we love animals, animals are being hurt. Corporations are deceiving us about it. Deceiving us about the animals being hurt. Here's what we can do about it, and here's what we are doing. Right? So that's like super easy, and it lets you start fitting in all the pieces of the video in a more elegant way. And again, it helps you kind of make the video more coherent. So you think about, you don't go off on a tangent in one section. You're like, oh, I'm going to do this here. It's like, oh wait, I'm already including this. I know the thought section is going to be 2 minutes from now. So let's not worry about that as much here. It's just going to be repetitive, and it's going to make it more similar to what's going on in all different directions. So that's. Yeah, and so, and then you just start laying down video. You know, so you have the music playing, and you lay down the video. And I think with videos, as with writing, the first 5 seconds and last 5 seconds are probably the most important. And like, if you ever did journalistic writing, they would say like, the lead is more important than the other 800 words of the article combined, like the first sentence. And you want to think very carefully about how you can make the first sentence or the first couple video clips gripping, very gripping and interesting, especially given the nature of the audience and the fact this is posted on social media. Streaming is like critical theorists or reviewers were engaging people on social media where there's like 100 other things on their screen, and you have to try and justify why they want to click on this and what they do click on it. You have to justify to them why do I continue watching? Right? And so like, interesting scenes with things like conflict, right? Open questions, uncertainty, right? Things like this are very interesting. Like another protest scene, unless it's incredibly dramatic, you know, incredibly inspiring, or it's like some person. I don't know. We got Bill Clinton, the drummer protest. We should definitely include him in the first scene. Oh, actually, maybe not, because Bill Clinton's kind of asshole and so. But I don't know. Who's a person going? We got like, you know, Martin Luther King Jr.'s son, who's back there and who's hating himself. If you're going over a protest, like, that would make your 2 seconds, good 5 second begin. And so, like, I think thinking about that first 5 seconds is very important, and thinking about how it can be situated in the context of the story you're trying to tell. I was thinking I might just go through like what I was thinking with the truth matters a little bit, and just give you a flavor for. So. So this clip was I thought this was like the best visual from the entire investigation, and that it was like very mysterious. It was like very beautiful too, especially when you watch it in HD. The quality isn't here. It's HDMI cable and the transfer. It was just like a beautiful clip that, I mean, to me, it was just like, I saw that light, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And this is like really interesting. And it's even got like interesting visual artifacts. Everything about it was really beautiful. Ronnie shot this stuff. I mean, obviously, I'm one of the people talking. Where'd you find that music? That was pulled from some repository. So there are certain people who give you lots of good musical leads, and you should just keep going back to those people. And the person who's done more for JC's music than anyone else is actually Wilson. Oh, I talk to Wilson all the time about music, and he's always giving me suggestions. And I use like, I don't use that many of them, but I use many more of Wilson's suggestions than anyone else. So I probably use like 1 to 3 songs that he suggested. Yeah, he's really good. The dude, he's got like good design sense and good like aesthetics. Just look at his photos, but he's just, yeah, that's true. Something about him that's just like, he understands aesthetics, which is interesting because he's an engineer, so you wouldn't expect him to be that solid aesthetic. He's really, really solid. But like, yeah, I mean, that was intentional, the disappearing too. Like, it's just I thought what was great about this stuff was the fact that, first of all, it's light, like in the darkness, and it's kind of scary, and something's visualized, you're not sure what it is, right? And then suddenly it's a person, you're like, the person's holding something. So like, every stage keeps you wondering, like, what's next? What's next? Yeah. And then eventually you see, what is it? So, you see that it's, you see that it's an animal, right? It's a chicken. It's just, like, especially for an animal officer, you're wondering, why are these people in the middle of the darkness with a headlamp on? And you hear someone saying, we're going to try and get to the best veterinary care we can as soon as possible. It tells you, oh, then you immediately start making you think, what's going to happen? What's next? Like, I need to find out more.
Was that audio in the video, or was it?
It was in the video. Yeah, I know, it was a great clip. Like, yeah, the first time I saw it, I was like, yeah, this is going to be, yeah. Yeah, it was, Ronnie did, that was a pretty beautiful shot. Like, even the blurred focus, and the focus. Yeah, yeah, I mean, another thing is, having good videographers makes a huge, huge fucking difference. Oh my god, like a bad videographer, it's the worst thing in the world. Because the camera's shaking, things are out of focus, you just can't use like 90% of the stuff. And like a good videographer like that, I mean, that sort of shot, you know, that's less than like 1% of the total. I mean, there's still most of the stuff you need a good videographer is going to shoot for rescue, for investigation, or protest footage. Since all these environments are pretty high stress, is going to be shitty. But like that 1% where it goes perfectly, it's like magic. It's like really beautiful. So I'm usually sort of mixed on whether we should be including some sort of. I mean, in this video we included direct action right at the beginning. We have that standard intro clip. How do you guys feel about that intro clip? Yeah. Oh, I love that. You like it? I love it. Yeah. How do you feel about it? I'm not sure. I don't know that. Alright. Where did you get that music from? I saw it played it. He played it himself. Oh, awesome. Yeah. It's like, I'll show it to everyone. It had like a cool touch. Yeah. And then like showing like different
Cities are like, I don't know, everywhere.
Those are the real cities, right?
Yeah. It's the one. So let's. So this. What do you think of this, Michael? I have mixed feelings on it. Really? I think it'd be good to have something shorter. On the other hand, like if we develop our brand and our reputation well enough that people, once they hear that and see that, they start thinking DXC,
Yeah.
thinking this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
That probably is a good
I think a lot of people already,
Yeah, you should go. Hello. He's got a 15 pound bag weekly.
Nice.
They can't.
Ooh.
We bought it.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. It's a lot cheaper in bulk. All right. So, well, anyways, I mean, I have mixed feelings about this, and I think at some point we should probably just make a decision as a network, or like give some people pretty strong guidance and suggestions about like how the video should start.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
And then it's like,
And the idea behind this video montage, this is actually from the Iron Man trailer show. Like the blackout. If you watch, it just goes in and out, like a series of kind of mysterious scenes.
yeah,
This is from an Iron Man trailer.
that's not standard.
Yeah, it's a standard, like,
I know that. And the music, yeah.
perfect. So, but one thing you'll notice is that everything is kind of symmetric, and it's all linked to the music. Right?
Yeah.
And like I would spend a lot of time getting those timings down. You know, I mean, you don't have to get it down to like 100th of a second. If you want to, I mean, I usually try and do that. And it's usually pretty easy because the music is pretty structured. So there'll be like standard lengths between the clips. So you know, okay, like once I know that each length, each of these clips, this is not the project, so you know. Each of the beats is at 1.2 seconds. You just know like each of the clips should be 1.2 seconds, dragging it out to that length, and you have like a set of And so the idea behind this was like, I wanted to kind of show people something interesting at the start, because that left a lot of questions open, and convince them to keep watching the video, right? And so the idea behind it was, show that something dramatic is happening, that there's this individual animal who's very seriously hurt. And then start like this more substantive story, which is telling people more background information about animal rights and the state of the problem that we're trying to solve. Because, as I said, this video was intended to be published without being a newspaper article. It did sort of get published in that time, so it's not. So we're going to some in total, it's around Facebook and YouTube, I think, something like that. And then there's a lot more views of the shorter clip, actually. If you include the Peter share, and Peter share can only include this. It might have been 100,000 which actually made me feel kind of like, maybe we shouldn't have done that, because we actually gave them first access to that before we even shared it.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, they're the ones who really push us to make a shorter one because they're like, we really like this video, but we just like for our social media purposes, we have a little bit of short stuff. Few minutes, you can make a shorter clip, we'll do it. So try to speed it. So one thing I always try and do when making videos is, in all the spoken parts, try not to repeat stuff too much, unless it's a very important point, like it's not really violent. I don't repeat that. But if people are doing like long discussions of things over and over again, that tends to be really boring. It's like I already heard this point. Unless in a way, or like there's some reason you want to compliment it, just like sometimes you just want, you know, like a woman, a man, an old person, a young person, a black person, a white person, a Chinese person, all reinforcing the same sort of point. Yeah. But that should be like an intentional decision, and otherwise you should always think about like, has this point been made before? If it's already been made, don't make it again. You know? And so like that's kind of it's an important element of good writing too. Like most people repeat things too much when they're writing, and they make things too complicated and drawn out, and they make things and also they repeat them too much, which is like a double whammy because it's convoluted and it's. But you also, like in videos, unlike in writing, most people watch these things like 100% attention, and it's like video watching is a little bit different experience than reading. Even reading, this is true, but with spoken word especially, and this is true of speeches too. Any good speech will tell you this. Trying to find clips with simple language use is really important because you have to remember, like you as a video editor are giving like a lot of critical attention to every word. So someone could say something like onomatopoeia or recursive analysis or intersectionality of oppression, and you'll understand it. But if there's lots and lots of words like that for the average viewer, whose reading level might not be as high, whose listening level might be not as high, and their attention is not as high, if they're struggling again, most people are just going to tune in. You know, so like try to find clips that involve simple language. And then I think cute animals always help. Yeah. But another thing that I think tends to happen throughout a lot of videos is there's too many static scenes, which I mean. They're often like great editorial reasons and great content reasons why you want one long discussion of something, but just trying to, there have been these psychological experiments done of television, why people are so addicted to television, and one of the reasons they're addicted to television is television does a great job at changing visions. Like, in the history of human civilization and human beings as a species, we're not used to having like our entire visual landscape suddenly transform. Like, and if it does transform, that means you should really be thinking about what the heck is going on, right? And so this is one of the things TV does magically, right? It like cuts scenes all the time. Even if you're like, when I was watching House recently, and you see there's just a patient in the bed, and it's House talking, and it's just him talking, and it's like a 5-minute clip. But there's so many different cuts, like the camera's moving, and it cuts to a different perspective, it cuts to his perspective, and then House's perspective, and there's like a funny visual to this, and like so I would try to like, I mean I don't think there's any rule of thumb, but I try to keep any like long scene under 10 seconds. Like 10 seconds at most, and then it should cut. Because if you think about like a 3-minute video clip, I mean 10 seconds would be 6 clips per minute, and that would be 18 clips in total. That's not very many when you have 30 cities. So if you're using 10 seconds on one clip, that's probably too much. Like, most of the cuts are like 3 seconds or less. You know, and that's what you're going to see. Cute animals, and again, like, almost all of these are either linked to something that's spoken, right? So the cuts are linked to some change in the spoken word. I mean, you can listen to everything. I forget if the music here, we're very much disconnected from the people around us. There are very few people here, of course, intentional. There is no music here, so the ones I made were all animals. I would go out into the forest and talk to the squirrels, have conversations with birds, and try to play with reptiles and frogs, and usually it's the cutest part. Yeah, so like the cuts shouldn't be just for the sake of cutting. They should be situated in some way with the background music and vocals. Yeah. So, storytelling. So one thing about this is it's super easy to find good animal clips just by going on YouTube and Googling, and hopefully everyone has experience with Clip Converter. Yeah. And there's like KeepVid and all these other websites where you can automatically download YouTube. And I was saying to them earlier, you don't have to worry too much about fair use as long as you're not using like long 30-second clips. It's just like a couple seconds. and you're using it for non-commercial purpose, you're not trying to make money off of it. We don't even like to have ads on our videos. And if you get a copyright flag notice, for some reason, our computer was logged into your account, and I know you got a copyright flag notice on that, and we're using your
Oh, really?
maybe I should tell you this, yeah. It said like match third-party content. We have standard text that we send when we're appealing. That's, you know, like, I looked at it and I had a couple words look at it. It's like a fair use thing. We're claiming this is fair use. And usually when you claim fair use, they just give it up. Especially if it's like some little private YouTube user who's obviously something. So you can pretty freely just kind of look okay, that's right. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh yes, you're on was on my computer. The other thing is, if you want to save time in finding animal clips, especially, we actually have a library of animal clips now, which we will probably put on the cloud soon. So you'll be able, we'll start sorting by animal, maybe more stuff animals. You know, like, hey, I want to find a happy animal clip. There's an archive of like 12 different videos that other people have. And now that OneDrive just announced like we're giving people 200 gigabytes of storage, that's something we can use. So.
I think finding the bad ones.
I know.
When we first realized that human beings were doing vicious things.
Yes, obviously, you know, like,
talk to the squirrel, like, as much today as I love them.
and then obviously the music was like, this is happy animals and happy. And then you switch to sad animals.
He's anticipating her own death. I know that if I were in that position, we're inducing state and everywhere. Why doesn't the public know? The answer, quite simply, is that these corporations don't want us to know about it.
So this is a pretty standard thing that people do. This is actually not a video. This is just a photograph. Does everyone know how to do this? Oh, I totally thought that was a video. Yeah, it's a Ken video. It's like Gunpowder Pro has a very easy way for you to make a photograph move. Again, this is just more visual interesting than just photograph.
Yeah, no.
I really just do not like using photographs pretty much at all.
Yeah.
If we can avoid it. But sometimes you have to, like I didn't have video footage from the trespass sign.
Yeah.
Instead of finding 1 minute. And I just found like, and you know, like, this is almost perfect actually, you know, like the quality of that time, because it says like the competition minute and wants to trespass. But the Ken Burns effect is really useful if you're using. And I would like, I would spend like a considerable time, especially in animal footage, because, you know, as difficult as it is for people to understand our message, it's even more difficult for people to understand like what animals are experiencing, especially if they're not already trying to think about animals as human beings. So like finding videos like where you see the animals' faces is really important. Yeah, you actually. I mean, this is so beautiful. It's like touching because it shows like the interspecies interaction and the affection that one have. And then the same thing with Saturn too. Like, this video was like very powerful because you can see the face. You can see her fear. Like, it's not just like, oh, disgusting vacuum porn. It's like they're doing something really scary to that individual, and she's terrified. Yeah. She's like flailing around and trying to get out of that pit. It's also just like, I've actually never seen a slaughterhouse that has that sort of mechanism. Apparently, they're taking it out. Yeah. Like, why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
But I would, yeah, if you're finding animal footage, I would spend a good amount of time on finding the specific one that you can photograph. Yeah. And the same thing is for photographs. You know, like good animal photographs that you want to look for stuff. Because she really captures the individuality of animals. Really high quality. That matters too. Like high def. Something's fuzzy, it's just think about like, you know, a lot of these clips of war conflict where you just see bombs dropping and stuff from a distance and it's all fuzzy. It doesn't seem as real. So I would spend a lot of time. This is Ken Burns too. This is just a photograph. I focus on objective. Are people okay with going through this way? Is this useful? Is it useful? Because we can stop. This is what And again, like, there's a lot of editing and thought put into how we're going to structure all the different interview clips or spoken word parts to make sure they fit the. Oh, there are like 10 people who said 10 interesting things. Let me just throw them in the storyboard randomly. It was like, okay, here's the part where we're talking about how we work on this. Here's the talk about where we talk about how violence is handled everywhere. And then here's the part, this is Ryan, where we start talking about why isn't anyone doing anything about this? And the reason is corporations don't want us to know anything about this, and they've made affirmative attempts to disguise this. This is actually we should actually, we'll probably also put together in our archive like a bunch of videos that Whole Foods has made that we find really videos.
Yeah.
So people can use those.
Also, some of the footage of like the animals like in the slaughterhouses, are those from just random slaughterhouses, or are they?
They're usually from random, not Whole Foods.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have any.
Whole Foods doesn't have a specific slaughterhouse.
Yeah, they
I mean, yeah.
But I mean,
But we haven't verified that the slaughterhouses are. I mean, at this point, we haven't even talked about Whole Foods.
Okay.
So it's just, it's a general remark.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like Whole Foods isn't mentioned until the middle of this one. So we get to this next one. So one thing I tend to do is the visual, and actually this isn't even my best, my favorite visual clip of mine, you know, we ignored a little bit, it says us. But, you know, I would think about the visual depiction of the speakers and there are things you can do. So like one obvious thing you can always do is cover someone up if they like are saying something good, but they like look really funny or start picking their nose. Just cover it up. So this is actually one of them. Like we don't have the original project, but like Brian started looking kind of funny and like shaking his head right here. So it was convenient that we had. I mean, I think it was appropriate for me to add this clip at that point too, but it also covered up. But the other thing is like Brian, which is not usual for Brian, actually for some reason during the interview, just he kept saying, it was like long pauses and just having. You can lay over video footage, you can just cut out all the pauses and just jump forward. And that just makes it much more effective and professional. Yeah. So, and that's what I did a lot of this interview. And there's all these little audio tricks you can use to try and make two, because if you cut two audio tracks and like put them together, sometimes there's a little blip where it sounds funny. And if you're interested in doing this, I can show you how. But basically, what you generally do best practice is you extend both the clips out a little bit, or you can do like fade in and out, and so like they kind of merge.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't do that, but generally for pauses and if there's anything too kind of vivid happening in that short segment where you're kind of merging the two clips together, it's easy to, and you do the same with music. Like when I cut all the musical tracks, and I think all the musical tracks in this video were not the originals, they were like cut in certain ways. Yeah. You can put them together and have stretch them out and work them. So the transitions happen well. So, like I said, we'll have an archive of video evidence from.
yeah, I think because I would put more.
No problem. Yeah, it's nice. We have an archive, so I don't have to think about that. So here, you know, when we start
How do we
getting
decide? I was wondering,
this is it. They're not
how do
just
we decide with the shot of the magazine cover to have the counter?
no specific reason. Do you think it's distracting?
I was just wondering why I saw it, because, well, I think it's because I like know where it is, and so I'm like, oh, it's a counter. So for me, it's like distracting.
Yeah.
And since it seems like you thought about every shot, I was like, oh,
Yeah, I thought about a white background. I thought like the colored background made it seem like
or even like
messy.
doing it straight on, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just like the look of it. I did shoot it a bunch of times on different backgrounds. Yeah. I think I like the turning movement. I wanted to seem kind of twisted and confused.
Oh, interesting.
Right, so I'm like, I thought that background made it seem like chaotic.
A little bit of
Yeah, like visual aspersions on Whole Foods. Like, fortunate saying Whole Foods is taking over the role. like a twisting shot in the back end premise. And I don't think, yeah, the criticism wasn't that. But you know, here, so there's a musical transition here too, because we go from there's all these terrible things we go from kind of the violence of having animals everywhere to the deception. So like ushering in music and transition everywhere. The show, like the obvious conspiracy music is the Matrix. Actually, almost didn't use it because I thought it was a little cliche. No, I also thought it was kind of too perfect for the purpose of.
No, it's good music.
It is good music.
I've heard it before, but like I thought it was used very well.
It's used a lot.
Yeah. So hopefully it's all that people forget about.
All about that people forget about the source.
Yeah, they just know it. And it sounds kind of conspiratorial. So
Super conspiratorial.
yeah, but if you look in the storyboard, this is the part where you start talking about fraud and conspiracy. Right? And so it's the music, it's the visuals. Yeah. The other thing about having a storyboard is if you have a storyboard, you can, as you're looking through video footage, or even just as you're like, you know, on a day-to-day basis doing other things. Like I actually added this clip because I saw someone share this video again, and I just totally remembered that scene where it talks about killing of kindness. Yeah. And I was like, that's such a perfect scene. You know, like when this guy goes up and there's this beautiful happy little lamb, and he opens his arms up and is saying like, "I'm hug her," and then he cuts her legs out. It's like really graphic and violent. And it's just so. But if you have a storyboard, you know that's already going to include. You're going to use that dialogue and lay it out, and you can just in your day-to-day activities, you'll see something that's like, shit, yeah, that's perfect.
My mom said like that clip is like she cannot forget that clip. Like it's like very evocative to her.
Well, the lamb is so cute.
And he goes up and cuts it. It's just a betrayal.
Oh.
It's like, so here's the kind of the thing. So one thing that you can do is that's pretty easy is so this is a little bit dishonest, but not entirely dishonest. I actually added a McDonald's logo. It is a McDonald's video, but so that's it's something you should realize that you can do in Content Pro. You can always add in a little bit of visual to mark something as McDonald's video. Yeah. Did anyone? Is that noticeable to anyone that I added that?
I mean, I just figured it was part of the.
Yeah. That's what I was hoping that people would think that wasn't.
Yeah. It does look like something they did.
Yeah. No, that's something I added. They did produce this video. Truthfully, it's from the UK because in the US operations and I'm using the UK facilities are only using free-range ducks. And then captions, you know, like anytime people are, this is like a really dramatic clip. It's loud, but it's kind of hard to do. Yeah, actually, I'm sort of mixed on captions, especially like hard captions. So I don't know how people talk about this one, but I felt it was necessary because, you know, the point wasn't, you know, we need the lies. We need to challenge those lies with the truth. It felt like it was important to illustrate how this is challenging those lies with the truth. But generally, captions are frowned upon because they distract people. And what you want is that if you want to show rather than tell, if you have to use a caption, because the general thinking among the videos I've talked to is that you need a better audio.
I use captions a lot because
That's great, but you can add them later so that not everyone has to see them. Right?
I usually put them
We actually have that later.
in
YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So you can just have a setting that presses on.
Oh, right.
I put them, I mix on that. Like, I'll put them in when I think it's so hard to make out, like the average person's going to be like, what are you saying? And that's distracting from the video. And if it's distracting, because a lot of times you just have footage that's not ideal.
Yeah.
And then I'll put it in.
Yeah.
But then what I did for the March for Elegance is I made 2 versions into Facebook, all the time, and then captions after.
YouTube, yep. YouTube gives you the option. Facebook probably does. Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes you have to do it, but I definitely think you should try to not use them if you can. And oftentimes there's an alternative clip that you can use. Like I mean, this might have been a case of
Yeah,
After
I
being
mean,
a
I
little bit
think
lazy.
in this, like, I don't think you can tell.
Yeah.
So I actually think this is useful.
I think it is useful. I'm just wondering, like, I was trying to find a clip that was literally 2 seconds showing DXC doing something really dramatic and powerful, and a lot of people, right? And it's really hard to find something you can do in like 2 seconds in that little window. And this is like definitely the best visual. I don't know, even like the aerial shot. I don't know, but I'm just saying that you should, as a general matter, I would strongly advise you to push yourself to not use captions when possible, because you want to show a lot of content. Like the visual and the audio from the video itself should be fine.
Going behind closed doors is cheap.
So partly Diane was included here because it's a great shot. It says it very clearly, but it's also partly included just to show our diversity. So I always think about this. Like every clip, I want to make sure there is different ages, different ethnic backgrounds, genders. Like we generally we shoot for like 50-50, and I'll actually like hash help mark. And I have like 10 of that, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I have like one POC too. Make sure it's roughly 50-50 or even better, right? More than POC. Then sometimes you can't do that because for whatever reason, 1 month it's just like it's all women. Like recently, it's actually been heavily skewed towards women, which is better than being heavily skewed towards men. But yeah, we should have thought about that before we did. You are not my secret. Yeah, I think you're not, right? But it's good, and it's especially since it's one of our core values. We represent the world. Right? So I would think about that in your videos. But other forms of diversity are also important. So like age diversity is important because I think to me it's really dramatic and powerful to see very young people or very old people. We don't traditionally we think stereotypical profiles. You think like 18 to 25-year-old college student, probably white. And so anything we can do to defy that, Diane. So it's a good clip too. I didn't do a great job of this in this video, but this is another lesson I learned from the video. It's like when you're cutting, it's often useful to have already some movement in the clip that leads the cut. Because if it's stable in its cut, sometimes you want to create a jarring effect. So like here, for example, it was intended for it to create a jarring effect, because I wanted like sort of destabilize the viewer. Maybe think cages of wire with cages of flesh. Like right there. That's jarring, but like I intended it to be jarring because I wanted like hit people like bam, bam, bam. Oh my God, stress, confinement, mutilation, death. But like it can be, if you're trying to tell a story, it's not the best tactic because if you're trying to make the video feel fluid, like it leads people to feel like a little bit almost violated by the video. But this is a part that, there's a lot of violation happening. So I felt like it was okay. Yeah, but it's one of the things like Lonnie did with a lot of his early videos, and he learned, and taught me actually from the cinematographers, and took all the cinema classes and used to samples and saying like, yeah, movement and movement is good. And then transition and transition. So like when you're cutting, so the best example is later on, but this isn't actually the best example. But when you're cutting, if you can cut like, movement is good, and if there's movement in the cut that seems like it's fluid in some way, so like this isn't the best example of this, but like if you had a close-up shot of a hen facing to the right and looking happy, and the next shot was like a hen looking to the right and looking sad, I do that pretty often too. And I think that's effective, because it's like, it shows the contrast really powerfully, in a particular individual, going from one individual being happy, one individual being sad. I didn't do that there. This is Ken Burns again. The nice thing about Ken Burns is Ken Burns like a portrait of a photo. Ken Burns' effect is basically, in Final Cut Pro, you can pick like 2 points in a photograph, and the video will pan from one point to the next. Right? So this is Yes.
So you can also use it.
You can use it to zoom too. So you can use, oh yeah, sometimes you just have a big shot. And like you've seen some examples of this, like the big animal caption photo. I zoom in on animal caption. For the rejected photo, like you're talking about how you can't get a job at these places. Yeah. Zooms in on rejected. So font choice I think is important. You should think about that. And I still kind of feel mixed about this. I don't think people necessarily got this font, because do people understand why I use this font? So all of you understand this, but I don't know if the average user would pick this up. But there are already quite a few points now where we use this font in the video, showing up Whole Foods stuff. And that's the reason, it's showing, it's like a dark parody of Whole Foods. It's step one, step two. But in a shorter clip where we don't actually show too much of the Whole Foods stuff, I change the font. Because I just don't think, this font is a little juvenile, and it's like, you want strong fonts.
Well, it also it's kind of like personal music and it's like, oh, it's lighthearted.
Exactly.
Like, oh, it's cool.
Exactly.
And then not what you want.
But usually, I mean, fonts that we use a lot are, this is Viga, Proxima Nova, we use a lot, and Helvetica Neue Bold. But I would, like, if you're not sure about a font, like, you can ask me or one of our designers, like Kelly knows a lot of fonts. Rafaela, New York City, knows fonts really well. But those are the three people I talk to. Because I have, like, definitely ideas of fonts that I think are strong, fonts that are, like, whimsical, fonts that are informational. I would think about fonts. They do matter. If you use the wrong font, it just looks ridiculous. Yeah. And it looks unprofessional and ridiculous, and it reduces your credibility. So again, in all this footage, like, almost all the footage that we use tries to personalize animals, and it's hard to, especially if you're showing crowding, and the point is to show lots of hands, and there's only so much you can do. But like, I selectively went through the footage and found footage that would show crowding, but then it would like focus in on an individual. Like here, you can see like there's an individual eye there, and then here it's a crowd, but then it, like zooms in on an individual who obviously has like 7 hands on top of her. The same here, right? It's like a huge crowd, but we're zooming in. It's like we don't even realize, holy shit, there's a head there. It's like, and all you can do is see that little face, and it's just terrifying actually during these conditions. Yeah, here, like all these conditions. And yeah, I mean, suffering from rashes. So like again, what people are saying when they say rashes, show rash. Inflammation. This is like an inflamed vent. Even self-mutilation, you show them actually engaging in the process. It makes the video simulation. So same thing where you're talking about the This is actually, I really wish. Yeah, one of the things I learned from this rescue is like, we don't actually have the best footage of actual rescue stuff, because when we're rescuing, we're really like too worried about helping the animals. It's like, this was like a really terrifying like clip that we just did not get well at all, because all of us were too freaked out, just kind of stuck in the middle. And, like, we had no idea how long she'd been there. It was just gross. It's like, did people actually even follow this video? I was like, based on what they did. One of the most horrifying things we saw was birds trapped in the north. We were literally digging them out of their own feces. So she's like trying to pull herself out there, and she couldn't do it. And so like, the problem was like, I had one hand on a camera and one hand, trying, you just stop thinking about that. And so like, I mean, this is less relevant for video, there's more relevant in that circumstance. To make sure, it's almost always good to have someone who's just doing videography. Because if it's one person going in and they're like trying to hold.
So is the screen becoming orange?
Yes. So. Yeah, sometimes audio is really important. So like hearing the raspy breathing. Your visual shots are good, but sometimes audio is even more important than visual. So think about that. And the audio, like this squeak right there, it's like, it's really hard on me.
As a piano,
and that's unfortunately like one problem with the filtering process. If you do what I do, which is just screen through it, sometimes someone will say something, or they'll do like this amazing speak out, and you just don't hear it. So that to capture that stuff, honestly, you probably just need something to cover. Like you need someone from Las Vegas to say like, hey, there's just incredible interaction, and you might not see it in the video, but like make sure you go through it. And again, like these musical stuff, right? So all of these, there's like the intense, bam, 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 to step 5. Then we go to the story of May. It starts to slow down again. So make the music consistent with the tone of what you're showing. If we're battering people with somewhat terrifying scenes and we're just showing them informationally, like 5 steps of cruelty, it's more appropriate to have some faster pace. And we're trying to like show mournfulness and sadness, then you should have a musical track that fits that tone. And so it slows down. And thankfully, this song has a lot of different components to it. But what I did with this track was completely jiggered. Like this is actually the beginning of the song. I made it to the end because I followed the movement sense. That's just you just have to use your aesthetic judgment to think about what you can do with music. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Like, none of us are professional musicians, so it's hard. And sometimes like you're just trying to passion the music doesn't make sense. But here I think like did anyone tell if the music was changed? Probably not. That's good. So that's when you should use on the pitch. It sounded like you would. Yeah, here, this is actually not the best way to try it. This is the best way to put it about it. It's not bad. Yeah, so here I actually can burn it. Oh, really? Yeah, this is not, and you could tell the quality wasn't better, but I actually would have liked to have run. I mean, it's hard because he's taking a video of me, but this is like such a sad clip, and like, but it's dark, it's intense, it's stressful. Like you can't, like, I mean, Ronnie did like a lot of really amazing videography. I'd say a good 60% of the video footage in the car is Ronnie's. He actually wasn't involved in this talking about it. It's very sweet he did it. Not that we don't like him. I like him. There's, as a, every group is always conflict. So again, like throughout this, even here, all the transition points are linked to beats and music. So it's just here, right? We're gonna try and go somewhere mad. Bam. Bam. So this is like about a 6-second repeating flip over and over again, so I'm trying to make the video function. So this is actually probably my favorite clip. There's so creative talking about our experience. There's sometimes things that you can't convey visually or through, the video, like a trembling hand. You can't feel that. So sometimes, and I mean, generally, again, like you show that on top, but this is the second best option, and I thought it was really, really cool. This is like probably my favorite part of the video. Just because she's really authentic too. Finding people who can speak authentically about things is really. I thought about doing a voiceover for this, But I think there's something about this moment of the video that, while generally you want to use voiceovers, like you made this specific decision to have this be text because I wanted people to spend a moment just letting it sink in silence. And that text was like, also, people have heard me talk about it. Yeah, like the video footage that shows in. When we shoot, obviously we try and shoot videos that focus on faces and individuality of animals. But you're still going to have a lot of shitty video footage. So like, go through video footage, find the video footage that really evocatively shows like animal getting fed or animal getting water, animal getting an IV. And then just, the same with the positive experience. May was like, she was such a fighter. I cannot believe. So one thing, did you guys know that? Did you guys know that May was actually kind of blind? So yeah, I mean, if you look at this video, one of the reasons she's having so much trouble eating and drinking is because she can't see. She doesn't. If you see where she's pecking here, she's not pecking at the food. And hens and chickens are very visual creatures. They don't have a very good sense of smell, a very good sense of hearing. They're a lot of animals. This is why if you see chickens and you ever have colorful clothing or like a red pony, shiny pony, they'll always go for it. Because they're very visual creatures. And so, you know, for the first 3 or 4 days, we thought she might be blind because she was like pecking in the air. And she was trying to get food. She was starting to get strengthened so she could like lift her head a little bit. But then she'd do this constantly. So we had to like bring food right into her mouth. Let's see if you guys can notice that. I was really trying. It's hard to.
You had told her something off that I thought at the end. I mean, I guess I didn't pick up on it.
Yeah, well, it's one really short clip.
And
That's really hard.
Cover herself?
Yeah, she can see that.
Yeah.
But so
that's why.
yeah,
it's kind of like she's just generally ill.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to tell specifically. Yeah, no, it's hard because it's.
And she looks unwell as well.
Yeah, to me that's like immediately obvious because I interacted with her extensively and it was for 5 days and we were terrified because we thought she'd never be seen. Like a hen who's blind does not live a good life. Yeah, that's a pretty core attribute for a hen. Yeah, but she got better. So like, yeah, where is David? We're not saying.
Well, I don't know. I almost like this kind of like. Yeah, because she knew her way around the only thing that she had was speeding, and then we all just did cues where we would tap on things, and she'd be like, "Oh, we have to get her."
Yeah.
And then she was like, "Oh,
yeah.
So she actually.
Yeah, no, I think they can still live good lives. They definitely require a lot more
Yeah,
care.
they do require paper.
Because they're not too able on their own. And my guess is you probably have to segregate her.
She actually was with the others.
Really? She needed a tuck?
No, I mean, she wouldn't get, we have to make sure that she got her own plate food. And that, like, but she was with hens that weren't, and had plentiful food. She wasn't with the big flock.
Okay.
So she
Sure. Yeah, so she was separated from the.
So she was in a smaller flock, but she wasn't with us by herself.
Yeah, but I think if you see clips like this that are like distinct in some way, right? Like an animal struggling, with recovering, animal not being able to see and pecking amongst it. Like, I really, really wish we had shot this better, but this is not even shot, it's just a camera ground, so this is so much. Because this is the first time she stood, and it was really, really beautiful. Just watching her. It's not bad, but it's like, you can definitely tell she's struggling. I was really surprised too. This is like, I think it was only like 4 or 5 days. I mean, I think it was definitely within a week. This was like 3 weeks later. This is like probably 3 months later. So one thing no one got to see, if you look at the original clip, the visual angle wasn't great. I think I showed you this. Did I show you this? How she got dirt in her face? So this is another hen kicking dirt in her face. And it's so fucking adorable. Like, because she like closes her eyes and like, why do you do that? then you just see like her favorite. And again, like the audio is really nice.
Like, she follows you around everywhere and squats and then you leave your side.
She's such a weird guy. Yeah, I mean, you see something interesting happening, you can handle, take a video of it, and use it in your video because that's, people have seen enough animals, especially within the animal rights world, and most of the people are going to be watching this animals. They've seen a billion videos of like animals, they've seen a billion videos of pigs. When something interesting or unusual happens, like and it's kissing each other, or like getting dirt on their face, or like that little baby jumping on a pig, those are the things that are really going to talk about. I think this is still like quite possibly my favorite protest. I don't know why. We're just there's something about the audio that's really strong. Being violent. I think it's partly that it's a foreign language and it's very, very strong and loud. Like, and it fills the entire filling the entire restaurant.
Great.
Yeah, Andrea's probably going to be visiting us, which is good.
Yeah,
I'm really excited about it. But, yeah, I mean, it's one of the reasons why, like, we always emphasize to our folks, use your voice. There are a lot of other people around you, and you might feel like, oh, my voice doesn't matter, but like having everyone speak very strongly is very important. And especially if the mic is near you, and you happen to be like in the little track that's picked up, if you say like, that's just, even if it's like the greatest visual in the world, you can't use it. But it's just, it just sounds terrible. It just sounds like the protesters don't care and don't believe what they're saying. Right? So there's something, but here I think it's a combination of, I love this clip too. These activists in Georgia. There's something about this guy, like, just like standing forward and like coming forward and things like
People believe in doing the right thing, to take action again.
I just like the way he's stepping forward. Yeah, it's really, really strong. And I think it's something about this too, because Andrea is like, you can see she has this like kind face, she's very beautiful, and she's just like standing there with this almost mournful look on her face, and then she says something really strong. Yeah. To me, this is like such a powerful embodiment of what nonviolent direct action should look like. Yeah. I also think Victoria is like a movie voice. So here's a question.
Is the next frontier of social justice. Activists risk their lives.
Do people feel like these captions were too much?
No, actually, because it's poetic.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, pretty exploitive, but I mean, I like the additional information.
It's good. I was a little afraid that Priya was saying things and the caption was saying something that added additional information and did too much information. Because again, generally you want to show rather than tell, and also keep things focused. So this is definitely like a difficult judgment, but I felt like, yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I mean, one thing you can do, and we do this, is you can put outlines around the font. Right, we put black outline. Like this font, it's not just white, it's white with a black background around it, and then you come out. Yeah, and Final Cut Pro makes that really easy. I mean, again, this isn't best practice, but I just thought like some of these examples are really important. Like, it is important to know this is what's happening down in the sentence. You can probably like, I mean, there this screen, I love this clip.
Yeah, I like it.
And to this day, they're fighting for the right of immigrants like me to be seen as more than just a missing passport.
Yeah. You see an clip like that, like keep it in your library. Like record it immediately, put it somewhere. Because like if you're moved by it when you see it, like there's a good chance other people will move by it, and there'll be some point in the future where you move. So like a video editor, keep that stuff in there. I shot this of you, Hugo. This is amazing. I love this scene.
We need to have the same courage for animal rights if we want our dream of a better world to come true.
Yeah, so again, like when I choose protest clips, I try to choose clips where there's a blend of both individual person, and it's like the animal, yeah, actually. But there's at least one person, because mobs are not, they're sometimes interesting, right, in that there's a big mass of people, but they're not emotionally engaging, and they don't make people feel like, I could be this person's friend, like, this is my brother, this is my sister, like, but when you have, like you standing here with Zed, and Zach, with the mournful of his facing flowers, Lola on the, I really love this clip of Natalie too.
Yeah.
Across nations and continents, from all cultures and creeds, we are taking nothing rest.
Again, all these transitions are.
Animals are not here for us, they're here with us. Just look inside your heart. You already know the right thing to do.
If we believe that what we're doing is the right thing to do, then we should go in proudly and openly with no mask.
So again, like we said, the beginning is probably the most important. The second most important is probably the end, right? And so I picked, I specifically thought of like footage that I thought was dramatic and interesting, but not so dramatic and interesting that it would be terrifying to people.
Yeah.
Like, and I thought this clip of Nick like getting pushed on was great. Priya getting pushed on and the whole big festival, this guy. And then obviously the most important thing is going in. Yeah. So going back to the rescue and like, this is a pretty dramatic scene too. And I thought it was. Yeah, actually, this scene, if we could have had a little more time, this scene would have been really cool because, like, if you watch the entire video clip, I kind of disappeared with darkness. And it's super cool. It's like, this is pitch black. I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere and there's not even starlight, but we only had a couple seconds. But it would have been cool if we had, like, a second or a second more. You would have seen the fade into dark. And I'm still kind of struggling about the ending scenes. Like, what we're doing usually is having some text and some tags, but there might be a better way of handling this. Maybe just like a link, and, I don't know. Something like the intro clip that's standardized at the end of our clips. Yeah, but I guess it's pretty standard in movies that is.
What do you choose the song for like the end? Because it's kind of a weird choice, but I like it.
This is a song that Priya was saying I thought about for over 2 years, I think. Yeah, as appropriate for an Wise clip because it's a song. I mean, most people don't know the lyrics of the song. Yeah. The lyrics are about a little girl who's lost.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it has like a natural progression to it that's like kind of it's definitely kind of a little bit upbeat throughout the song, but it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Yeah. And then it gets back to the end where it's kind of like. She's saying, she goes like, it's like, it's obviously still very energized and passionate, but it's also kind of mournful and sad. And I thought that was like an appropriate song for me. We're obviously energized, we're passionate, but we're still sad. It's not all fun and games. And I mean, there obviously are a lot of things for us to get proud about and happy about, but this is still not a happy movement to be part of. Yeah. Our goal is for the movement to not be necessary. Because we're confronting such horrible, violent things. Right? So, yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's just, yeah, that I tried to use that same song for many other clips and many other videos, and people didn't like it. Like the original trailer, if you remember the preview clip, which uses the Moby song track that's better than you use in the stuff on Goodbye.
Yeah.
This one. So this section,
it's a mad scientist.
this music was used in the preview clip as well, that 1 minute and 40-second preview clip. The original version of the preview clip actually used LED. It's the light song at the end. You know, a lot of people, and I felt very strongly about it because I really like that song, but it was one of those instances where my emotional reaction to the song was so different from other people's that I really need to get feedback from people. Because I think most people see that song as kind of like, it's a little bit sad, but it's mostly like upbeat and exciting. It's like a dance song. And I think it was appropriate for like, the ending montage, there are some sad scenes, but it's mainly focus. It's like, here's what we're going to do about it. Here's how we're going to fucking change the world. And that's like the mentality we want to get. And I think a more dancey, exciting songs are appropriate. It's like, let's get out there and do something. So that was the thinking on that song. Yeah. Perfect choice. Yeah, I spent more time on this video clip than any of you would probably spend on a PJ Action video or any video. I probably went through 30 songs at one point for each of those. Like, I mean, not just like thinking about them, but actually putting them in and playing with them and like discarding them for each of those clips. Before finding one that I saw. Yeah, and it's like finding the perfect song makes a big difference. And the nice thing is, if the song is almost perfect, like I said, you can work with it, you can massage it, you can fix it, you can cut out the parts you don't like and add in parts you do like. There's a lyric that's just really, really terrible. Just cut it out. Find a way to. You can usually just kind of reattach a verse to replace another verse. And then find work songs like typical, especially top 40 songs, with verse, chorus, and maybe there'll be a couple transition points. The bridges, verse, chorus, maybe verse, bridge, chorus. So verse is like the main body of the song. The chorus is a part that keeps getting repeated. Usually, what you can do is, if you don't like one of the verses, just take the first verse, and cut it, copy it, and file cut, paste it back on the end. Just like mess with the transition, and you have to tinker with it a lot to make it actually mesh well, but just like, you can hear it, you can listen to it. This is why having a fast computer is good too, because you have a slow computer, every time you trigger things, like, I'm going to wait 5 seconds. Yeah, the computer's really fast, it's just like you do this.
I've only cut a song a few times, but it's definitely asking for it. Like, it's hard.
That's really very good.
Yeah. You can do it, and it's like, oh, it's not right, it's not right, it's like, really screw out with it.
Yeah, you really have to like go to the millisecond. I'm moving the clip in increments as small as Final Cut Pro will allow.
Well, you have enough your time with it.
Yeah. But I think it makes a difference. If the music works well and it's not jarring, it's just a smooth experience. So, yeah, I was going to say something about Apple. I'm sure that means like, but it's sort of Apple's mentality of design too. Like, every aspect of the box, the phone, everything's got to be put in the manual. And they think about even kind of how you pull the box open. Right. They did a lot of research in this, like what's too tight, what's too loose. And they want to have like a nice suction, so you feel like it's trapped, but it's not trapped so tightly that you can't get it open. And so I think all those details do make for a more powerful and elegant visual experience, auditory experience too. But sometimes you just don't have time, right? And sometimes it's not worth it because the project isn't important enough to be investing like 30 minutes on the transition. I definitely would spend 30 minutes on the transitions. Yeah, fixing one audio track, or like figuring out what part of the audio track I should do here, and trying to like change the parts and messing with the fades and all that stuff. But I don't think every transition requires an extension. Well, hopefully that was useful to people. Oh yeah. Do you have any other thoughts, Lisa? You should watch it once in the black. I like that one. Have you seen this video she made? No. It's real short. Are you okay watching it?
It's not like
cool.
Creative though. I would have to say it's a.
What? You shouldn't tell them this, because I thought it was super fucking creative, because I hadn't seen the original.
Have you seen it?
Well, you haven't seen it. You're gonna think this is like the most amazing piece of art in the history of like animal rights trailers. So you shouldn't have told them that.
Well, but I don't want to take artistic credit for something that's not mine. I feel it is a spoof. Yeah. And you should actually watch the original also. Well, it's just the opening.
Oh, okay.
That's all it is. It's opening scene.
Yeah, I think this is the best thing we've done. I think it's really good.
I mean, I really worked hard on it, but it's not a creative.
I mean, nothing is completely creative. Like Everything is a derivative work in the world. So I think you do. I mean, yeah, it takes a lot of time to choose the right clips, put them together like that, right way to make them really visually relevant. Yeah, some of those videos and photos are just gorgeous.
Yeah,
So,
well, I mean, we have the first.
but a lot of them are videos too. We took the videos.
Those are us. The video shots are actually mine.
What should I search in music? We're gonna watch Fuzzies in the Butt.
Oh, it's on YouTube already?
Yeah.
There's one on my account who's real big. I think that's okay.
You know, I'll send people the outline for this stuff too. So if you want to refresh your memory about the things we talked about. Yeah, but I think this is one of the ways you can make really, really high impact. You know, it doesn't require. I mean, I think all of you are actually pretty comfortable with protests too. But this is something that people who are not comfortable with protests can do and have really, really high impact. It's like someone who's willing to spend lots and lots of time on video editing and they're really, really good at it and spend time on specific projects can make a big difference. Fuzzies in the Butt. I didn't even realize it was a short.
Yeah, it's not very long.
Remember all their faces, remember all their voices. Second time around.
But it makes more sense if you watch the
Yeah.
4 inches in black opening.
You want to watch that too?
It actually.
Yeah, let's watch it.
Puts it into a little bit.
Can I just search Orange is the New Black?
Yeah.
Orange is the New Black.
Why would you like that?
You might have to take the orange and the black opening, but I think it's gonna work. They put it there. Yeah, that'll work. And they have these video shots. So yeah, so it's shot for shot.
Yeah.
Like eye for eye, mouth for mouth.
Right.
Because I felt like they executed it so well. But, it took me, I don't know. It took a while because there was a lot of, I had to go through a lot of photographs and process them, and I didn't have video. So, it's such an opening. Such an opening.
Thank you so much.
They uploaded it, they put it somewhere and it's just.
You're still watching the show?
Yeah, I've seen it.
So, yeah, then, thanks.
The animal, trap, trap, trap.
He just won't think you. The road is waiting on you. You bad time. Think of all the roads, think of all the crossings, taking steps with you, standing still is hard. Remember all their faces, remember all their voices, everything is different the second time around. You got time.
It's such a cool video. What do they do? Both of them. This is the intro credits storage is in the block, and Lisa made a funny version of them.
Those aren't actors.
Really? Actual person? Oh wow. They obviously got consent.
The actors don't look. The actors look much more serious.
Sure.
Yeah. They're like not actually. But yeah, they got consent, and I think they interviewed them and asked them to like think of happy things. You know, they're like
sure.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, when you actually watch that, I watched this video closely a couple times afterwards. Like, all of the decisions are very specific. Like, they talk about voice, and someone's going voice, and like, there's a drum roll, and you see like this trail of the photographs, and like, everything, and even like the cool stills turning into video. Like, all those decisions are very careful, creative decisions that like, it makes the video really powerful. Yeah. It's cool. I like that video. And the music's amazing. I love that song so much. So, anyway, cool. Want to show something one of you know? Show your video? What do I search for? Which one of their video?
Not speaking a single word for a whole year, that is exactly what I need to do. CJ Patsy took a vow of silence.
Misuse of stealing YouTube clips? Approved? Copyright violations? Just kidding, FBI. This is a great speaker.
Yeah.
Why did you do this? Thank you. I come here today with anger inside of me, but also understanding. And I come here with that, but also yeah, right. And the great month about songs was to write the banners for the voices we do with this planet. Yeah. Yeah. 5 years ago, when a lot of people walked by, I got so good. I said I love Apple, and I turned around and I gave someone else. So this girl comes around more kind of entertainment, more something for
What?
We all say one, and we all but we pay it to mutilate your child and slow down. It's not being necessity, it's not limited to our health, it's just because of what they do. Except the need to let people really not buying all these products.
embodied something.
So I went voiceless because they're voiceless. Then I realized they're not actually voiceless. They cry in pain, they scream in terror, and when they do that, they're using their voice to tell us they're suffering. The problem is we're not listening because they have wings instead of arms, they have fur, they have scales, they're different species, so we don't take their suffering seriously.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt. And there's no doubt that they do feel pain in the way we really produce. So that's why I don't think we can ethically justify eating them.
Well, I've been living the last couple of years. I'm a vegan, which means I don't participate in any animal exploitation or cruelty. I don't consume any animal products. And I want to show people through my journey and my writing was how easy that is to do, how healthy it is, how you can have an amazing life. So easy.
And I understand you guys don't know this about yourself. I wasn't a monster, and nobody out there is knowing. You just don't know that. And everyone's their own rules.
I have to say, if you do it, you have responsibility to know something about it, but you really don't listen. Maybe the wrong life is not good. For me, what living ethically is about is about not just thinking about yourself, but putting yourself in the position of other beings who are affected by your actions. So we get to the point where we say, really to live ethically, you have to think what it's like for those others who are affected by your actions.
Just look inside your heart. You already know the right thing. You have the love of humanity in your heart. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world. I'm not wrong.
What's your favorite one? Just like, yeah, they're all good. Yeah. Did you do that? Yeah, I did all of them. You see, look, focus in there. Yeah, that's in there. Yeah. why you shouldn't use Windows Movie Maker. Because Windows Movie Maker does all sorts of fun stuff. That stuff doesn't make sense. The problem with Photoshop is fun.
Can you get that? Can you get that?
Like I said, it's possible we can find it as an application. That's so weird. It's also the thing is cut off. You did this in like one night, right? 2 hours. Yeah, that's pretty wild. Yeah, because they came out like right after the protest. Wow.
Yeah, you're just like time there.
She never stepped outside or saw the sky. On the best thing to die. This is a very farming. I'm sure on behalf of the animals behind these cows. The animals that ultimately will be led a peaceful and happy existence before they were humanely slaughtered. There's no way to humanely slaughter someone that wants to live. These animals are no different from the cats and dogs that you love at home. We're here to speak out on behalf of these animals that are inside. Because you have become comfortable with the line that this is not humane. This is life. We hope that you'll join us to build a better world. A world where the powerful are free. A world where the weak are protected and where peace is preserved. This is not food. This is violence. It's not food. It's violence. What do we want? What do we fight for?
I think I just grabbed it. Okay.
This is not food. It's not food.
Did they do it on purpose? No, it was an accident. They walked backwards. You're different. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I thought you said you were grabbing something.
No, we were like getting back here, like right. Yeah. But we laughed because we thought we were like this whole vandalism.
That's like that gallon smash in the Matthew. This is at this point, the police were already expecting it. So we did it outside first.
Oh yeah, I heard about
This is such a great backup right there. Yeah. Is you? This is really sticky. It's much more sticky. Is it an iPhone thing?
And you can hear them scream and cry for their lives. You're supposed to hear. And you understand.
Yeah, you know what you mean.
But you're comfortable because you've been deceived. You're comfortable with a lie. You're comfortable because the animals inside have been silent. We're standing here sending our voices on behalf of them. The animals inside are not food that's violent. It's not food, it's violence.
Yeah, so like that transition, all the shady transitions that we make out of, like how that got like the better version. It's still pretty incredible that you made this in 2 hours. It's like pretty nuts. I mean, see, there's only so much you can do with Windows Movie Maker. It's just like,
Dude, there's like nothing you can do.
it's true. You like doing videography?
Yeah.
I like it too.
And I get more nervous being a protester speaker. Being the speaker of the protester. I mean, the video. Work. Good job, everybody. That's great. So the last thing I'm going to say before we all leave is, when you're done with the video edit, that doesn't mean the project is over. Think strategically about promotion.
where you share it, when you share it, could work. And so we found, and we learned this the hard way, that
you're being live streamed, by
you're
the way.
live streamed on the internet. So posting on Facebook is almost always better for social media purposes, because Facebook, it favors its own videos over YouTube. So we saw like 5 to 10x increase in the number of views and shares as a result of sharing directly on Facebook. So I know you shared your video on YouTube. First, we should have shared it on Facebook. And for if your goal is, unless you're trying to develop your Facebook channel for its own sake, then you should share it on YouTube first. But we're not like a YouTube. We're not developing a YouTube platform independently. We're using it as just part of like a broader ecosystem. So
you even put posts on YouTube?
Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of stuff just goes on Facebook. So YouTube is not one of our main channels, and we don't follow it very much. Like we don't have like people commenting on the videos or responding to comments. It's like, I mean, first of all, it's mostly people troll, but just because I mean it's better to share stuff on Facebook. Better to share stuff in the morning. Yeah, better to share stuff in the morning than in the evening, on weekdays generally, and on weekends. And then you should think carefully about how you describe the video. The title is really, really important. And the sentence you use as a caption of the video is also really important. You should share it everywhere. And then also which image you use. But the unfortunate thing about Facebook is you cannot upload an image to use as a cover image for the video. So you just have to make sure your headline and your caption are really strong. YouTube, you can upload your own image, and you probably should. You should take a still from the video that you think is strongest, put it as the cover video. And then like once it's up on YouTube, contact the DXC cover account to help you do it. So, yeah, I cannot emphasize how important like that first sentence is and like the headline. Spend a lot of time thinking about it because you make a beautiful video and the headline's bad and no one watches it. It's want to make a beautiful video. Yes. Think very carefully about that and write it very well. Because if you look at kind of what the top YouTube channels do, they always have really good information description. The top marketers too, like look at both these videos, which follow think very carefully about the video title and the caption. So we should take.
I wonder who that one viewer is. So whoever you are watching us on the internet, I'm gonna find out who you are and ask you not to get revenge or anything, just to find out what you thought of the webinar. Yeah, it should be okay. So I'm stopping this broadcast. Goodbye, everybody.